Ash?
So the first thing is that when it comes to things like translations, that's so patients can access healthcare. It's the job of the NHS.
If they can't speak English, Ash, they should.
Wait. Did I interrupt you? Rupert, did I interrupt you? No, I didn't.
I'm sorry, we don't need
translation.
translation.
Wait. Let me finish, all right? The NHS exists to provide the best possible care to patients. Now, some of those patients will feel more comfortable speaking in their native language.
I don't care.
Right?
I have no interest in that.
Well, fine.
They should speak English. They live in England, they should speak English.
Doctors take an oath to give whatever patient comes to their door the best possible quality of care. That is going to involve some translation services. When it comes to things like DEI, I'm sorry, you are picking the things which play to your base. That's your job as a politician.
Waste of money.
That is your job as a politician.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're keeping well. Now, today we have a debate in regards to the NHS, the National Health Service in the United Kingdom. And as you saw from the preview, just briefly, we have Rupert, who is talking about how the NHS is focused on spending hundreds of millions of pounds implementing those finances into DEI and woke schemes and international language schemes, when in all essence they should be speaking English, or they should be at least learning English. You know, if you're in England, it only makes sense to speak English. And then of course, you know, you've got his adversary to his right hand side, Ash, who is basically saying, no, you know, we need to keep everything woke, you know, we need to accommodate other languages, etc. And I believe that this is one of the problems with multiculturalism. You know, it's like, embrace your own cultures when you come to England, speak your own language, have your own culture, do your own thing, but just sponge off of the UK whilst you're at it. Don't build on any culture here. Don't try and assimilate. Don't try and integrate. No, just have your own culture, your own belief system, your own principles, values. But just come to the UK and sponge off of the British taxpayer whilst you do so. So this is a huge problem when dealing with multiculturalism. So yeah, but anyway, guys, I'm going to play the debate for you. And they're also going to be talking a little bit about how reform can be done to the NHS because it's currently in a very poor state. And yeah, I'm going to play all of that and come with my analysis at the end.
Well, first of all, let me say I applaud Wes Streeting what he's saying. As Bernard said, he's got the largest majority in recent times, and he's got the ability to change things. So I'll be watching what the hands are doing as well as what the mouth is saying. But I think what he's saying is sensible. I personally think the NHS is dysfunctional, without any doubt, and I used to run a series of cancer centres, so at first hand I've seen this. They waste loads of money on DEI. They waste loads of money on translation, 40 million on DEI, 100 million on translation.
Well, diversity, equality and inclusion.
DEI, yep, 100 million on translation costs. They don't collect.
But that's a tiny amount, isn't it, compared to the massive budget of the NHS? Yes, I have, but just to clarify for viewers. Yeah, go on.
So they also, the health tourism, they don't collect the money from that. So they're completely dysfunctional. I totally agree with league tables. I think, why haven't we got the league tables now? Why don't we start by cutting the salaries of those people who are underperforming now and actually increasing the salary of those who are performing well?
So you broadly agree.
Let's not wait, let's do it now.
You broadly agree with Wes Streeting then in his drive?
I think Wes Streeting is trying. He's got the majority to do it. Let's see whether he delivers or not.
Ash?
So the first thing is that when it comes to things like translations, that's so patients can access healthcare. It's the job of the NHS.
If they can't speak English, Ash, they should.
Wait. Did I interrupt you? Rupert, did I interrupt you? No, I didn't.
I'm sorry, we don't need translation.
Wait. Let me finish, all right? The NHS exists to provide the best possible care to patients. Now, some of those patients will feel more comfortable speaking in their native language.
I don't care.
Right?
I have no interest in that.
Well, fine. Like,
they should speak English. They live in England, they should speak English.
Doctors take an oath to give whatever patient comes to their door the best possible quality of care. That is going to involve some translation services. When it comes to things like DEI, I'm sorry, you are picking the things which play to your base. That's your job as a politician.
Waste of money.
That is your job as a politician. That is not where the problem is. The problem is that we've had 14 years of austerity. The country has become less healthy, measurably less healthy. It's become poorer. The Michael Marmot report laid this out. The most deprived regions are also the most unhealthy. They're the most impacted by austerity.
Well, you're certainly right on that. You're certainly right on that.
All right, well, let's have a look.
We spend the third most in Europe on healthcare.
Hang on.
And we have the second worst outcomes, medical outcomes, in the developed world.
Right.
So you tell me if that's
hang on,
delivery.
Rupert.
I don't call that delivery.
I don't know where you're...
Very, very quickly on this point, I don't disagree with you that there is money which is poorly spent in the NHS. I think a lot of that money that's poorly spent happens through outsourcing. So in 2022, you had £83 million being spent on these big outsourcing firms like Deloitte, like Serco, so on and so forth, many of which had absolutely stuffed up the failed test and trace scheme. So if you want to look at where failure is being rewarded, often it's through outsourcing to the private sector. I don't think that it's all to do with the NHS being this big behemoth of a state system.
I appreciate you want to take the health service back to the 1970s, but there's been a great deal of efficiency delivered through.
I was born in 1992. I mean, like, this is a completely ridiculous
this ideological view that was certainly
it's
not supported.
It's not ideological. The numbers are there.
It was not supported by the last Labour government, and I don't think it'll be supported by this government.
And actually, Bernard,
working with the private sector
is not the answer.
Working with the private sector is a way of delivering much greater efficiency, which is why the health service...
The private sector doesn't get punished for its failures. It gets rewarded with more government contracts.
Right, well, hang on, let me put to Rupert about... It was a radical idea. There was a radical idea proposed by Reform UK's leader, Nigel Farage, during the campaign, and that was to have a social insurance model of funding that people would have to pay into. Do you agree with him?
Well, I personally think that the NHS is broken. So I think the foundations of the NHS, as Bernard said, is dysfunctional. I've seen it the first hand. And if you talk to most people in my constituency, they're not
should the funding
getting
model
cancer
change
treatment.
then to deal with it?
It's broken because the frontline people who are fantastic are basically crowded out by far too many administrators. It's far too political. It's basically, it calls itself free. It's not free. Everybody pays a fortune in national insurance, and most people are now paying for their own medical care because they can't get an operation on the NHS.
But my question to you is, should the funding model change?
It's a fraud.
Right.
Arguably, it's a fraud.
And answer my question. Should the funding model change, which is what was suggested by Nigel Farage?
Wes Streeting's telling us he's going to solve it. Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance. If he doesn't solve it, we need to look at radical ideas such as that.
Right. So he jumped the gun, Nigel Farage.
He's got the ability to do it. He's got the majority. So rather than listening to what he's saying, let's watch what he does. I prefer delivery to people talking about it.
Okay, so guys, even though this debate was in relation to the NHS, yes, I agree that they need to slash funding in relation to woke DEI projects or translation services, okay, but there's one important message to extract from this segment, and I would say that is assimilation and integration. You know, oftentimes we hear the popular scenario of people who come to the UK, live here for 30, 40, 50 years and cannot speak English. I believe that is terrible. That's disastrous in relation to integration. There's clearly been no sense of urgency to assimilate into the culture that you want to be a part of, you know. So it just seems like it's just a take scheme. You know, let me go to the UK, let me not even try to learn anything about the culture or learn the language, but instead I can enjoy the benefits of the NHS, I can enjoy some government handouts as well, and happy life for me. So yeah, this is one of the biggest problems in the United Kingdom, you know, assimilation. And you know, when more effort is being put into the UK, then I honestly see like a more cohesive society. But unless that happens and you have people like Ash spewing out this BS of, yes, you know, we should accommodate everyone else's language, everyone else is this, everyone else is that, and you're trying to erode what's happening in the UK, erodes like the language here, the culture here, then this will continue to be a problem. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.